the morning is usually when our brain is the most high functioning. We are the least subjective. We are the least prone to stereotyping. And as we go throughout the day, right around lunchtime, right, we have this slump in energy, in efficiency, in productivity, in decision making. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Upgrade My Rituals podcast. My name is Kevin McKella, your host, as always, and this is the show for high performers, business people, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, someone who's looking for more productivity, more efficiency in their day-to-day, trying to execute upon a really perfect day. So when the head hits their pillow, we feel really, really good about what we've accomplished and what trajectory we're on. And today's quick tip is going to be revolved around a book that I finally got around to reading called When by Daniel Pink. And this is a very, very cool book, a very insightful book on a lot of the science behind timing. And obviously that would be a pretty good topic to talk about regarding this show that has to do with daily routines. But Daniel Pink, the work that went into the research really that went into behind this book is not just about the physical benefits and the physiology of timing throughout the day, chronotypes, right? Your circadian rhythm, but also revolved around the mental aspects too. Some of the, kind of almost the placebo effect of, beginnings, right? Starting the new year or starting fresh on a new month, or maybe on, Sunday night, Monday morning, whatever it may be, or the endings of things, right? That last bite or whatever it may be. That's a lot of just the kind of the mental tricks that we have as humans. What I want to talk about today is a big portion of the beginning of the book is really revolved what I like to call the lunch slump, right? And this is the idea that we as people have, and it's not even just an idea, it's the science is right there. All the studies that he's sourced in this book revolves about uncovering the problems with our, not really problems, but the things to look out for in the middle of our day. So some of the things that they point out where it comes to making decisions in the legal system, making decisions in our school system, whatever it may be, that the morning is usually when our brain is the most high functioning. We are the least subjective. We are the least prone to stereotyping. And as we go throughout the day, right around lunchtime, right, we have this slump in energy, in efficiency, in productivity, in decision making. And then it starts to kind of come back up to a more effective and efficient place later on into the early evening. Now, a lot of that has to do with, like I said, your own personal circadian rhythm. It has to do with just nature and biology in itself. But what also I kind of want to talk to you and give you this quick tip today is something that really I don't think was talked about too much on this book is actually lunch. It's actually lunch itself. And a lot of times the food choices that we're making in the middle of our day can really make this lunch slump even worse. So what is the common American lunch? Well, the common American lunch is a sandwich, right? I mean, my wife and I used to eat sandwiches like all the time. We literally would call them Sammys, and we'd have this like making a Sammy, like it was ridiculous. But with that being said, what's on a sandwich? Well, we got nice 2 big old pieces of white bread, right? We've got mayonnaise, we've got some cold cuts and maybe some lettuce and tomato and some cheese in there. Now let's really take a look at that sandwich. Well, what is giving us any fuel in that? Not too much. It's a lot of really very simple and kind of there's not a lot of nutrition to those calories that we're taking in. we've got the white bread, which is really, really, really bad because of the fact that I'll explain. If you are going to have any carbohydrates, which I'm not an anti-carb guy, I do see the benefits of a keto diet, but I'm not an anti-carb guy. But if you're going to eat carbohydrates, make them really complex carbs, make them really just good, nutritious carbs. Sweet potatoes, rice, those are the first two and probably the best two that you can have. So really, that's the biggest problem with the sandwich is that it's a huge chunk of that, and the whole concept of the sandwich is revolved around white bread that's going to turn to sugar anyway, right? Now, on a side note, that's the biggest issue when it comes to the physical problems of the lunch slump, is that we're eating this white bread that's going to turn to sugar, and then it's going to spike our blood sugar, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to get that little burst of energy, and then around 2:33 you're going to really hit that slump because your body is doing what it's doing and processing that sugar. So again, I'm not going into any specifics because I don't know too much of the specifics of how that all works, but I know that it is, right? I have the baseline knowledge. So that's the biggest issue right there. Cold cuts, are one of the worst things that we can really be eating. They're the most processed kind of meat you can possibly find, filled with a whole bunch of things that are preservatives, if you will. And then usually, the lettuce and tomato, I mean, the lettuce is usually not some type of, leafy green organic lettuce. And the tomato sometimes can act as a nightshade, which is whole nother thing that luckily I'm not affected by. So therefore I don't have the knowledge, but I think a lot of people are affected and they don't even know it. So do your due diligence. And if you do know some information about nightshades, I'd love to hear it in the comments, right? But that's the problem. Now, you may have some other type of lunch that you bring that is maybe even worse than a sandwich. But here's a couple of options that we can do to kind of mitigate this. The easiest option is not eat lunch. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be starving. I need to eat lunch. Well, maybe not. So for me, the last few years, I've been really leveraging a part of the keto diet, which has to revolve around high fats and high saturated fats. There's been a big misconception, at least from the research that I've looked into, is that saturated fat is bad. No, from what I found is that a big misconception is that the saturated fat is bad from bad saturated fat. But if it's a highly filtered, a good source of saturated fat, that's a different story. So, for instance, like in the morning, I will have what's called bulletproof coffee. So I'll do coffee with some grass-fed butter and a fat supplement, which is really a caprylic acid. Now, again, that's another whole conversation, but you can try that. And to be honest with you, I don't need to eat lunch. I'm actually okay. The only reason recently I have been eating lunch is because my diet and my fitness goals are different. So I'm trying to build more muscle. I'm trying to gain mass. So I am needing to eat when I actually don't need to eat. I'm sacrificing a longevity and a health play for fitness goals and other family goals that I have for my physical being, right? So I don't need to eat lunch. I'm usually not that hungry. And if the first time I actually really get hungry, if I don't really have, is around 3:30. So you can definitely give that a try. Bulletproof coffee is a great way to get started with that. That's number one. Number two, you can bring countless other different, lunches that unfortunately may take a little bit of meal prep, right? You may need to have a really good salad with a bunch of vegetables and grilled chicken or grilled steak or something like that. Some type of seafood on there. Just don't heat that up in the microwave. Everyone will hate you. But there's a million different lunches that you can bring that are not very, very low in carbohydrates or none at all. You can save your carbs to the end of the night where that'll, refuel you for the next day, and you're not going to feel any effect really when you're sleeping. So those are just some really quick kind of tips to help you physically mitigate the lunch slump by kind of either not having lunch or choosing a different lunch and really incorporating that meal prep maybe into your PM routine, something that you have to change up that, needs to be changed. But I will recommend Daniel Pink's When. This is a fantastic book for the science of timing. And like I said, it's not just revolved around the daily routine, but it's revolved around a lot of timing in general. So a very cool book. I would suggest that you to pick that up. And of course, if you haven't left a review and you feel like this show is doing you some good and maybe giving you something to take with you, I would love to hear your comments. So please leave a review and subscribe. That would be fantastic. It'll help me actually give the show to more people and help more people as well. So thank you so much for listening. And of course, I will see you next time on the Upgrade My Rituals podcast.